Hello and welcome back to the Steel Wheel YouTube channel.
Today I'm going to be taking you around my daily driver for the last 3 years. It's this 2015 Mazda 3. So, I bought this in April 2022 and at the time it had 57,000 miles and now it's on just under 85,000 miles. This is also the car that I've had for the longest time ever. It's my second ever car as well, my first being a 2009 Nissan Micra, which is well known as being a very popular granny car or delivery driver car. So when I was looking for a new car, I was looking for something a bit bigger, a little bit sportier, and overall just a bit more modern and just a nicer car really in general.
Over the last 3 years, it's driven just under 30,000 miles, and in that time, it's been completely faultless. I've had nothing go wrong, and all I've had to do is the usual routine servicing and replace general stuff like tyres and brakes. One of the things that drew me to this car was the design. I think it looks quite cool with this swooping bonnet and the body creases down the side, and I think compared to other hatchbacks like the Focus and the Astra and the Golf, it's a little bit more of a left field choice. So I think it's a bit more interesting. I don't really see as many of these on the road as I do those other cars.
So this Mazda is in the SEL nav spec, which means it comes with these 16-inch alloy wheels, which I've always felt like look a little bit too small in this car, and I've always been tempted to get them upgraded to 18 inches, but I'm not sure if that's really worth doing, considering how cost-effective these tyres are as well. For a full set, it was £350 odd, and for 18-inch wheels, that would be triple the cost, near £1,000 really for a full set of tyres, and I'm not sure I can really justify that. Now this car has just turned 10 years old, but I think the design came out in 2013, so the design is about 12 years old now. But I feel like it still stands up well with modern cars, especially with these xenon headlights and the LED lights on the front and back. It also, I feel like the snowflake white pearl paint does give it a good shine.
Mazda is pretty well known for having quite thin paint as well. You might notice on the front there's quite a few stone chips, although that sort of thing is probably quite usual for cars of this mileage and age.
But overall I think it's held up quite well. There has been a little bit of damage there on the back, which I did myself, but overall I think it still looks pretty fresh and pretty good. There was also a couple little stone chips on the roof which got a little bit rusty, and I tried to fix them myself, but they did get a little bit cracked in the paint, so I might have to get that fixed properly at some point. But apart from that, it's not too bad. And the alloys are okay, they're a little bit corroded, but that's kind of usual in these sort of cars in this age. Because of how good this car has been over years and how reliable and cheap to run it's been, it's almost impossible to find another car to get, because nothing's going to be as versatile and cheap as this car. Admittedly, that is a little bit annoying, as I do have a bit of an obsession of looking for another car. I'll have a car for a few months, even with this car when I first got it, I was looking for another car not too long after, but obviously I've kept it for a long time, which is good. Obviously I had a different car for a while, as you might have seen in my YouTube channel before, but I had to get rid of that one, unfortunately. It ended up being a complete money pit and there wasn't really much I could do with it. So unfortunately I had to sell it on, but I'm still looking for a potential replacement for that, or this one as well. I'm not too sure what I'll do, but I think for the moment I'll keep hold of this one. So coming onto the inside, it's probably where people will say it's the most outdated looking. But personally for me, I quite like the analog style, especially with these knobs here to control the screen and for the air conditioning here as well. I'm also a big fan of having a manual gearbox too. The screen is about, I think, 7 inches, and the built-in software is not too bad, but I did upgrade it to Apple CarPlay, which was a bit of a task. You had to completely dismantle this dash and put a new USB port in here, but it is a very good upgrade and it just makes it feel a lot more modern in here. Also, it's got all the necessary features like cruise control, heated seats, which is really handy in the winter. And yeah, I just quite like the design. I think the dash as well looks quite nice and modern. It's got a big central speedometer and yeah, little digital dash bits on the side as well, just for the mileage and some of your fuel gauge stuff. Now, I think I've said before in my previous videos, but I'm 6'6", and I was also really impressed with how much space is in this car. There's lots of adjustment in the seat, like seat height adjustment. You can go back and forth, obviously, and you've got your back support too. And there's also lots of support in changing this around, like reach and rake. Cars like the Golf and the Ford Focus have really good seat positions as well. But I remember test driving a Honda Civic, I think it was a 2013, and that had a really bad seat position for some reason. I couldn't get low enough in the seat and it just felt really unnatural, but this feels like a really natural driving position. And yeah, there's not too bad passenger space in the back too. I have done a big trip to the Lake District recently with my friends. I'm sure the person behind me had more complaints as there's not a lot of leg room, but it worked quite well for that trip. And yeah, all those people's luggage as well fit in the boot, and it was a really good car for that trip. I think for a mid-range hatchback as well, it's got quite a nice mixture of materials. I like this gloss black along with this sort of aluminium brushed plastic. I'm not really sure. Sort of silver, and there's also a bit of a carbon and fibre effect on the steering wheel controls as well as the window controls here. And yeah, I like this red stitching as well on the gear knob and on the handbrake. There's a little bit around the steering wheel too. In terms of how well it's aged, the steering wheel is probably one of the worst bits. It's definitely got a bit of wear on some areas where have the most hand movements on it. But apart from that, it looks quite fresh still. I'm not sure if this steering wheel wear could be treated at all. I don't know if I could just stain it with some shoe polish or something, but let me know what you think. Now, taking this car for a drive, I think it's a really nice car to drive in general. It's got a 2-litre engine which produces about 120 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it is quite nippy when you want it to be, especially helpful when you've got a manual gearbox to control how much rev you want to give it. It rides quite well, and I think that's because of the 16-inch alloy wheels and the big sidewall on the tyres, so it makes it quite comfortable, which is another reason why I should keep them rather than upgrading to 18 inches, which will make all these bumps a lot more harsh. It also handles really well. I think it feels really planted on the road. I have a lot of confidence when driving this car because it doesn't feel like it'll ever sort of skid out or anything like that. It just feels very, confident and reassuring to drive. It's also really economical. On motorway runs, I can get up to 55 miles per gallon, which is really good. And on my drive to work, which is about 25 minutes, currently I can get about 50 miles per gallon, but at its worst, it probably only gets about 35. Which isn't great, but then considering I do a lot of stop-start driving, lots of traffic, and in the winter it gets worse, obviously. But overall, it's really, really economical to drive. So in terms of acceleration, it does really pull quite well in the lower gears. I'm in second now, I'm going into third, and it does pick up the speed quite well. I think the quoted amount, or 0 to 60 speed, is 8.9 seconds, which is pretty good, and considering my previous car, the Nissan Micra, was about 16 seconds to 60, which was shocking. This was like a really huge improvement when I got it. And yeah, I think that's really good for getting onto the motorway, and it handles motorway driving quite well as well. The only thing that I found slightly annoying with this car is that sometimes the gear shifts can feel a little bit stiff, especially going from first to second or back to first or something like that. It can feel a little bit reluctant to go into gear, but that might be a problem with my car. I'm not too sure. I think it's only very occasional, and it's not really a big issue. It's just something to think about. So overall, it's a really good car to drive. It's quite nippy when you want it to be, but it's also a nice, comfortable cruiser, which is really nice. And it's also just really economical to drive, cost effective. It's only £35 to tax as well, which I forgot to mention. And so overall, it's just been a really good car to have for these last few years, and as it hasn't meant I had to spend a lot of money on running a car and all that stuff. Insurance isn't too bad either, but yeah, overall, it's a really good car, and yeah, I think I'll be keeping it for a bit longer.
Thank you for watching my review on the Mazda 3. If you like this video, please check out my other content on my YouTube channel.